2, 1.
Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can always subscribe to the Miguel and Holly YouTube channel and watch it live there, or go back and take a look at our archives of a lot of different videos we've done throughout the years. Check out our other podcasts like Miguel and Holly Full Show podcast, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions, all of them. Go take a look, listen, watch, and see, and dive into the world of Miguel and Holly. So before I get into what I want to talk about, I just kind of got distracted for a quick second because on this show that's on right now, Positively Charlotte, on Queen City News, they have a headline that says Whoopi Goldberg supports Carrie Underwood singing at Trump's inauguration. And I've seen some people post about that, and I've been quiet on all things politics over the past couple months since the election because I just wanted to take a break from it. I don't see a problem if you, like I said after the election, we got to heal at some point, and going after someone who supports that person, hopefully it's for the right reasons. I'm not going to make you feel bad about it or unsubscribe to your music, because I've seen some people go like, I'm going to Spotify and I'm going to say, nope, I don't want to listen to her anymore, Carrie Underwood anymore.
What does that do for anybody?
And I'm like,
maybe if it makes you feel better.
Right. And listen, right now we're all feeling so helpless, or not all. For some of us that are feeling helpless after the election, you feel like if that's the one action I can do to make myself feel better, all right, I get it. But on the bigger picture, it's not going to move us closer to where we need to be. It's just going to further divide us.
Right.
I mean, I personally, it's made me not like her. Yes.
Right.
But I was never listening to her anyway. So
I was going to say, did it change your mind about her?
Correct.
Were you out here playing the Carrie Underwood bangers in
and
the last 10 years?
during 2020, 2021, she was the one who was retweeting a bunch of anti-vax tweets and all these things. So this isn't a shock that she's out here performing. But personally, I don't really care for her before, and I definitely don't even care about her now more than ever.
Right.
But I didn't feel the need to repost it and be like, F you, bleep off, goodbye forever. Whatever.
Now, I did
have
see
zero feelings about this.
Don Lemon, former CNN anchor, repost something that said, why are people so surprised that that she's a Trump supporter? And he posted a video of her from one of the CMA awards, something like that, where her and Brad Paisley were doing some Obamacare song. And it was like making fun of people, I guess, that signed up for her. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know. But it was just, and he was like, this is more concerning about like making fun of people that are just trying to get insurance when you're rich.
Why would anybody do that? I need to look that up. I never heard about that.
So that was interesting. That's on Don Lemon's Instagram.
Okay.
Something that I wanted to talk about that I had posted during the holiday break on my Instagram. I saw a news story, and I tried to find the exact news story, but it's not posted anywhere because I got it from Apple News, and I can't find what organization or newspaper it came from. But it's called The Millennials Failing to Launch. And we've talked about this before on the podcast in some shape or form. And the headline goes, no mortgage, no marriage, no children. Many Americans in their 30s feel they're stuck in suspended adolescence. And then I put underneath that on my story as a poll, if you are a millennial, do you feel like you are where you should be for your age? And you could pick, yep, feeling adulty and in charge, or no, I feel stuck. And 58% of people said, no, I feel stuck. And that was over 100 votes on that. And then I posted a little more of the article that says Americans in their 30s never looked less like grown-ups amid steep declines in home ownership, marriage, and birth rates. Economists have long been warning that young people are struggling to meet the milestones of adulthood. Although some 30-somethings are consciously choosing a less traditional path,
Yeah.
many say these goals are simply out of reach. And so then I put as a little Q&A, if you answered no on the poll, why is that? And then I mentioned that I'd be reading some of these on the podcast.
Got it.
But before I get to some of these answers, I wanted to sort of get a gauge from both of you, who all three of us are millennials and on different age paths of the millennial spectrum. Do you feel like where you should be in your life at this point?
Me?
All of us. Holly,
All of
you want to go first?
Absolutely. I feel every ounce of my, and I don't want to say this, but I guess it's sort of like middle age. I don't like to think of it that way, but I noticed when I was on my little exercise bike yesterday, because I did go to the gym.
Woo-woo.
They have like, like the heart rate for like what your age is and how long it goes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like on the age down here and the heart rate was up here, mine was like in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, half my life is over. So anyway, I say all that I was having an existential crisis on the bike at the gym, but whatever. I wish that I didn't feel so fucking adulty. I feel like I don't want it, but I'm absolutely 100% where I guess you quote unquote would be. And I say that I don't want it because yes, I own my own home, but like, guys, a raccoon dug a hole in the roof for like the third time in 2 years. And I'm having to like call the roofing company, and then I need a new roof, which costs a shitload of money. And then you have to call, I got solar panels, which was such a bad idea. I hate the company. I hate the solar panels. I thought I was being good for nature, and it's just a fucking scam most of the time. And like, you don't know this because like until you learn about what scams are and what's really good for you and shit. Like I learned all those lessons the hard way. And so now I got to communicate with the solar panel people, and they got to come take them off, which costs money additionally. And then I got to coordinate with the roof people. And then I have water damage on my kitchen ceiling, and I got to fix that at some point or another. The upstairs kitchen is a mess. I just, the weight of adulting is so heavy. And I said this to my fiance the other week, and I'm like, I hate doing all this adult stuff. It's not fun. No part of it is like, oh, I'm so fulfilled that I get to call a contractor and dig out my roof or whatever. I wish that I like, that's the shitty part of adulting. So I'm definitely feeling it. And I would say there were a couple milestones when I started to feel like an adult, and they're crystal clear in my head as to when. The first one was when I got divorced. Interestingly, not when I got married, not even when I had a child, but when I was going through my divorce and I had to like make the rounds and call everyone to let them know, which by the way, why did I have to do that? I don't know. I think that was the thing my mom told me I should do. I ended up talking to one of my mom's friends, and, we commiserated about how it's difficult to go through divorce. And I'm like, I'm connecting to like an older person. I feel a little adult right now. That was the first time. The second time that I felt like the weight of being an adult was the first time that my mom had surgery on her brain tumor. And she woke up and was not right. And little did I know at the time that she would never be fully right again, ever again. But at that time, I think I was 37. I think it was, yeah, maybe 36 or 37 when that happened. And my Auntie Pearl, had been visiting in town because she was concerned about her sister. And, so we're like conversing about what to do with my mom. We're having to make decisions about like, care. How does this look? Will she be able to come home after the hospital? Or do I have to involve like a rehab center? What does this even mean? How does her Medicare work? Whose information do I need to go through?
Phone
Like,
calls,
Social Security and phone calls and like medical
all
stuff.
the things.
And then Auntie Pearl had to go home at some point. And I took her to the airport and I dropped her off, and she flew to Ohio. And I was coming home from the airport in Tampa over that little like bridge area. And I just started crying because I was like, there's nobody else. I'm the adult. I'm alone. Who can I who can I turn to?
Mm.
I
heavy.
have to figure this out. I have to. I have a kid. I have a house. I don't have anybody else, so I just better fucking figure this out. And I have never felt more like an adult than I have in that moment. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm in it. I'm an adult, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not as great as you think it is.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's my perspective.
Kelvin?
I agree with the studies that are coming out. I truly do not feel like an adult. I thought, when you're 18 and you think of the year 30 or 31, now that I am, you would think you would have a lot of things under wraps. Like, all right, my family, I own a home, the white picket fence, the red door. But I also can't help but feel like I'm the one who put myself in this situation. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
I'm not. Obviously, the economy does not help.
right.
It's not been in our favor.
No, it hasn't
So
been since 2008.
8. Yeah.
so I and then the other part of me is making certain career decisions that maybe didn't help me out financially and are still not. So, but that was my decision. You know what I mean? So there's certain give or take that I feel like I could feel resentful about, and then other things that are out of my control. That could have panned out a different way. So I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, but truly at the end of it all, no, I do not feel like an adult. I do not own a home. I'm still renting, paying $2K plus on rent when I shouldn't be. I should be putting that towards a mortgage, not a stupid company. I should be making more than what I'm making now. These are all things that I can either control and complain about, work towards, do, adapt. I just don't know how to move about that or move past it, I guess, is my better way of saying that. So no, I don't feel like an adult per se, but life is happening. I felt like last year a lot of things put me in the driver's seat instead of just being like a side character and just going along for the ride and being supportive. When my fiance, I got that phone call, you guys saw me spiral, where he was getting that emergency appendix surgery, and I was like, that's right, I have to be there. Like you're gonna be your future husband. I gotta go take care of you. So doing that, I've never done that before. I've never had that kind of emergency feeling. I was never the go-to person. So that was a little bit of adulting, maybe a slice of adulting that I felt right then and there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, having a dog is not a child. Sorry if you feel like your fur baby is your fur baby. I think to a certain extent, you're caring for somebody and
Right.
keeping them alive.
They have similar vibes.
Right. But I would never say I'm adulting as that's my child.
Right.
So that's pretty much it for my responsibilities. So yeah, if we're gonna compare saying homeownership is adulting, I'm not adulting.
And not necessarily, because I feel like if you live in like New York or something like that,
You don't own
you don't
anything.
own a home,
Right.
but I feel like it's just sort of like the responsibility, I would say, is sometimes what leads towards you feeling like an adult. And that responsibility can come in different forms. If you have kids, if you have a house, or if you have like a big job
Right.
where you have to take care, or if you're a caretaker. And I know someone's like, well, what about this particular situation? But, I feel like you can lump it all under you have to be responsible for different tasks or people or things where you can't just be flippant about it. I feel like that really is a hallmark of being an adult.
Right.
So I would say for me, I feel like I'm in between two worlds. Like when it comes to the professional world, I sometimes feel like Holly and I, we've worked and like we got to this point to where now there's like a lot of money when it comes to like the radio station and the company we work for, where, I can't just be lazy and say, I don't want to do it because like people are depending on us to do it. I'm not just, we're not 22 in Panama City where, the average commercial on our radio station costs like $5.
Right.
These are people spending hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars on what I say through the radio,
Right. We're
and
in charge. We're ambassadors for brands that are investing a lot of money.
right. And so in that sense, I do feel the responsibility. I feel like getting married for me was big because Abe and I had to figure it out. Like his parents gave us some money as a gift, but when you look at the size of the wedding we wanted, that, we had to figure it out. And so when we were like, what's the budget? And it was like, oh, how do we pay
the
for
budget.
that? Like, and then just going through that process. And because my mom, like she married my brother's dad. Not, I've never seen her be married outside of that. They got divorced. And then my grandmother has been single for most of my life. I never saw marriage before. And so I was like, I don't want to just be flippant about it. I need to make sure that I'm truly understanding that
what the commitment means.
Right. And so to me, that was big, of like, that you're saying forever, and you are changing someone's life, and they're changing your life, and you're exchanging families. And so I didn't want to take that lightly. And so to me, because most of my life has always just been like, let's just try it out and see. Like, I want to be on the radio. I'm going to move to Florida and see if it happens. I don't know.
I know, right? Wait, man, when you're young, you do have the availability to just be like, why not?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm just going to try it out.
Yeah.
And so this was one of my first times where I was like, I have to really make sure that this is what I want. I just can't be flippant about it. I think buying my townhouse didn't make me feel like an adult, because at the time my friend was a real estate agent and he helped me do it. And I had one of the grants for first-time home buyers that was around back then, where I was happy. I was lucky to get $15,000 to help pay for stuff, because I had no money to pay for Chateau Oprah. No money. Like, I had to borrow for my 401k for closing costs. That's how, like, I had no money in savings to make that happen. And so,
Do they still have that grant?
ask a real estate agent.
Okay.
You never
They would
know.
know. Somebody would know. Somebody would know.
And
Because
it was
it's so important
right.
to
And
have that down payment. I didn't have it.
Mhm.
My mom put in a call to my dad, and she basically berated him on the phone for 30 minutes into, how dare you could not do this for your daughter. So my dad grudgingly, and then my
Yes.
dad called me and was like, Peanut, that's a big responsibility. You got to keep the house clean. Which I was like, Dad,
Let's talk about your house, Daddy.
Dad, you haven't even let us in your home for a decade. But nonetheless, he was very, very, I'm very lucky and privileged that my dad gave me the down payment. To otherwise, I didn't have any money. I didn't have money saved. That's what I told my mom. I'm like, I can't buy a house with
Right.
what money?
Right.
Cue the John Travolta gif of me looking around with
Right.
what money. So
Mhm.
that's the only reason I could even get a house.
So for me, because it kind of just fell into place, that didn't really feel like I was adult. Getting married, and then Abe and I deciding to build a house.
That's big.
That
I
was,
can't imagine.
I just remember the first couple of meetings and them talking about just numbers and contractors and permits.
No,
And
don't wanna
I was
do it.
just like,
then throw a TV show on top of it.
right. And then filming a TV show. And I was like, girl, I don't even know how to do multiplication tables. And you tried to ask me about budgets for construction? I felt so out of my league in those conversations. It was wildly insane. Now, if you ever want to build a house, I can help you and I can guide you on making sure you have all these ducks in the row, and when it comes to financing and banks and stuff like that. So I did learn a lot, but to me, that truly, and then taking this job, because for me, this was the first time, like getting married, where my whim of wanting to try something new, to have a new challenge, not only affected moving my husband and him ending his business in St. Pete and Tampa, but also Holly, who has a daughter and a fiance, and like me being like, hey, we should change it up. And like, let's, there's a lot of stuff that went into it. It wasn't just like, I have a whim, but
Right. No.
me sort of spearheading that decision that affects a lot of lives. And so that weighed on me heavily, of like, what if this don't work out? What if this is the wrong decision and I just made a move? Holly took a different job and she got to pay for her baby. Like, so to me, all of that was like, oh shit, you are not a kid anymore. Like, the decisions you make affect
Impact
other people's
others.
lives.
Yeah.
So to me, all of those things. So like the last like sort of 4 years of life have made me really feel like an adult.
But you said you had one foot in.
So this is where the other foot feels like it's not. I think because being a gay man and not having kids, you sort of get that Peter Pan syndrome where I've had this realization lately when we do go out that I'm like, I'm almost a 40-year-old man and I am tipsy at a club and most of the people around me are in their mid to late 20s, early 30s. I'm not the oldest person in here because at a gay club, you'll find
Right.
50, 60-year-old Billy Bob drunk trying to make out with 20-somethings in the club.
Yeah.
But also, I don't want to be that person.
Mm.
But so that's why I feel like I'm kind of stuck because like I have a desire to still go out and be social, and I'm not at the like, let's just go to a fancy cocktail bar on a Friday night and have 2 cocktails and go home. I still sometimes do want to go out to the club and have fun, but then I also don't want to be like stumbling drunk at 2:00 when they close with my gray beard and gray hair. Like that I just feel like I look stupid.
Mm.
I feel like you'll get there one day.
I
I feel like at one point you're gonna be like, I'm
think
not
so, too.
enjoying this as much as I used to.
I always
And-
thought that too about Miguel, but you are right
Yeah.
about I think the gay community.
Keeps
It's
you
a-
young.
It's and it's very much centered around going out and seeing people
right.
and who you see and what's the gossip with this friend group and that friend group, and that carries through any city that we've been living in. And so it does present like you've got your responsibilities, but then you get to take them off
Right.
on the weekends.
And I
Like-
think also too, it's part of gay culture is the gay clubs and bars. That's such a part of who we are. It's our safe space, and
Mhm.
you know, you sort of add that layer to it where you know, since Kelvin's joined the show, it's a little bit different. But like from 90% of my career up until Kelvin, it was around straight people. You know, like the
Mhm.
topics that we talk about on the show are catered towards majority of straight people, and so I always was like, well, I just want to wrap myself in gay on the weekend because I wrap myself in straight, throughout the week. And that's
Mhm.
changed a little bit over time.
But also, Miguel, and sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
But like your friend group is gay. And like you have a few girlfriends here and there, but
Right.
your friend group is gay. I think from an outside perspective, somebody would see you and be like, God damn, like this bitch never stops going to the club. Oh my God, like grow up. But the other side is, if I do show up with my gay friends to your straight bar where you think it's more calmed down and it's more appropriate for my age, you don't know what that feels like. Like I have gone to straight clubs with my gay friends and I have felt othered. I have felt uncomfortable. I felt like I'm being stared at and I can't be flamboyant. I can't be cat in the straight club. So
Right.
I avoid going to them now. This has been like a different transition from my mid-20s. Now I only like going to gay places and gay clubs. And every time you see my stories, oh my God, that's crazy. You just love looking at splits and giving dollar bills to performers. Yes,
Right.
I do enjoy that because I feel safe. I feel like I'm with my people. But like I said before, it's a different perspective. I
Right.
think people are going to perceive you in a different way. But if they don't know about that lifestyle, they're going to judge you either way.
Right. And so that's why, like you said, Kelvin, I feel safe there. And that's where I like to go sort of let some steam off. So that's why I do feel like an adult, but then I do feel that not necessarily stuck, but I do still feel like I'm not an adult when I'm like, my friends are coming into town this weekend and we're going out Saturday night and we haven't been out in Charlotte since like November or October. And I'm like, I'm ready, but it is slowing down for me though. Like I don't feel the urge to be at the bar, at the club on every Friday and Saturday night like it used to be, because back in the day,
Couldn't tell this man nothing.
I would not slow down for nothing.
Mm-mm.
Nothing. Like Kelvin, when I tell you I was drunk at the gay club every Friday, every Saturday, unless I was sick.
No, that's pretty much it. No, that's it.
I was like, 'cause-
Unless you physically could not be.
right. And then I
Broke a leg.
was thinking, Holly, I was like, unless we had a big event, but back in the early Hot 101.5 days,
Girl,
because this
no.
just popped up on my story on my Amazon Alexa, the Echo with the pictures,
Yeah.
because it drags from my phone. and there was us. This was probably 2016, so we'd been there for maybe a year,
Yep.
and we were reading to kids somewhere.
Yes, I knew you were gonna say that one.
And it was like a big red Clifford dog on stage with us. And I remember Holly leaning over and being like, "Your breath smells like vodka." And I was like,
it was like coming out of your pores. It smelled like you had just done shots before you got there. And there were the Clifford and children. And I think I actually took Maya to that one. She was like 2
yes.
or 3. And so I got this baby on my hip, and Miguel's like, "Hey, vodka." Yes. So I was going to say, events on the weekends did not slow you down because you were young and you could still.
I was
power
31
through.
and I was just like, I'm living my best life.
You were probably younger than. No, yeah, maybe you were about 31.
Because I think I turned 30 the first year we were at Hot 1015. That first August. So I think it was that spring when I was probably 30, 31.
Yes.
I also think though, like maybe it just never leaves your body. Like maybe, maybe you want to go less.
Right.
But like maybe you still just want to go out and fucking dance. And is that really the worst thing in the world? Is it the worst thing in the world to be with your friend group and enjoy and dance and listen to some gay ass music, tip some fucking drag performers and have a good fucking time?
Right.
Like, as long as you're not a creepy old dude making other people uncomfortable, then I don't feel like you're hurting anybody or bothering anybody. Unless somebody's paying your bills, then you know, care what they have to say. But if they're not, who fucking cares?
And I think too that we millennials are really, and then it's continuing with Gen Z, and I'll give some credit too to Gen X, is that we are not following in the same traditional patterns that we were always taught.
Yeah.
That like, all right, because you know, all those memes you'll see of like the Golden Girls were like our age now, and it's like, oh my God, what?
I know. Like they were in their 40s.
Right. And it's like, to me, I look at them and I'm like, oh, they're like in their 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
And so that in our minds, and when you think about all the sitcoms we grew up with, Step by Step, Family Matters, all that, all those moms and dads were like in their 30s with houses and kids. And so you're like, well, that's what my life is supposed to be, but I still want to go out and have fun. But we are taking a different path, and that's okay.
It is. It is. I just think, and I do think that kids factor in a big piece of that too. And like some people do, like I changed. I definitely don't crave going out to a club. I can't tell you the last time I was in a club.
Franklin Manor.
Yes, that's the last time, and that's because we had to be there because I was working. But I don't even know what clubs exist. I don't even know where. If I decided today, hey, I'm gonna go to the club this weekend, which sounds ridiculous. Where would I go? What's a club? Sometimes we go down Central and I'm like, oh, that's where Sweet 6 used to be. That was a club that I went to back in the day in St. Pete. It's not there anymore. I don't even know where the clubs are. But I don't feel like I want to go because my life has changed.
Right.
And I never thought it would, by the way.
In
my 20s, all I wanted to do was get ready. That's part of it, by the way. The getting ready is half of it. I just wanted to get ready and I wanted to go out and then I wanted to do it again. And it was just so much fun. I could, in that moment, then Holly, because I remember that person, then Holly was like, I will never be sick of this. This is the most fun that anyone could ever have in their whole life. Right. And I'd like look at older people and be like, what happened to you? Like, and now I'm different. And I don't know exactly when or how it happened, but it did. And like, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm sure, like, as evidence, when we were in Orlando, vodka Holly popped out and I'm dancing and singing. It exists. That part of me exists, but I cringe about it now because I can't even look at the video. I still can't look at it.
I'll watch it for
you. I'm sure you will.
We'll play it on the
I'm
podcast.
so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't know why, because I think that it's probably fine.
Right.
If somebody else, if a friend of mine was like, look at me doing this crazy thing, I'd be like, that's great. But like for some reason, adult me now is like, oh, you are just, that's too much. That's obnoxious. I think the word that echoes is obnoxious. And I try to not be obnoxious as a woman in her 40s.
But see, that's the thing that I love about Charlotte, is that it's such a town geared towards millennials and Gen Z. And so like when you go to the breweries here on a Saturday or a Sunday, you see a crap ton of people drinking, you know, having beer, having lunch, and then you see them with a baby stroller next to them. And like they're probably all in their 30s.
That's so wild to me because I I never could. And I'm sure that lots and lots of people can, as evidenced by said breweries. Like, you can just integrate all parts of your life together, and I never could.
Mm.
I never could integrate the radio part of me with the mother part of me. I can't integrate the party part of me with the mother part of me. They're all separate. I am a different person in different role. I take on different roles, and it's like I literally have to shift out of one in order to get into the other one. And when the worlds collide, I almost like short circuit. I don't know what to do with myself. So
Mhm.
I could take Maya to like a little brewery place, and I would probably maybe have like one drink, but then I'm like, what now?
Right.
What do I do now? The party part of me is like, we're drinking.
Mm.
But the mom part of me is like, what are you doing? Your child is right there.
Mm.
And that part wins out. So I'm like, all right, time to go home, like wrap it up. So I can't figure it out.
I remember one of the first drag brunches Abe and I came to here in Charlotte, and someone brought like, well, now that I've seen a 11-month-old baby, this baby probably had to be 5 months. Probably 5 months.
Jesus.
Not that small.
And I was like, girl, why do y'all need to see a drag brunch that bad?
It'll be fine.
A
She's
drag
sleeping.
brunch?
Yes, girl. And
I was
like,
mortified to go out of the house before Maya was like 1 year old. Like, I was so scared that she would make a noise and someone would judge, or like I couldn't fix it.
girl, they had that baby just dancing like
There are just some places where you shouldn't take an infant. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, some people will not let having a baby stand in the way of them having a good fucking time.
Yes.
And that bothers me. Like, I try not to judge. Like, I'm like, let people live. That's my motto. And I see it. And then I'm like, well, that's a choice. It's not my choice, but that's their choice. I don't agree with it, but that's just me. If you don't need my blessing to do it, just go do it.
Yeah, I
It's
met
just not for
someone
me.
recently that it was a woman who had her baby, because it was a friend of a friend's who we were hanging out. It was a bunch of gay guys, and he was like, oh, my girl best friend is at this brewery, and we went, and she had her baby with her, and he was more like a toddler. Like, he could still like walk, but not like great.
Not well.
So
maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah,
No, maybe like just over a year.
Probably.
If he's not walking well.
Yeah, it probably a little bit over a year. Because because I spent a day or two with Corey's kids, my college roommate, and like her one girl is about to be 1 in the next couple of weeks, and the other kid is 2. And so now I finally, I think, have like a bearing on how kids are. Because before I'd be like, they look 10, and Holly's like, they're 6 months. And I'm like, I don't know.
Miguel had 0. Like, he'd be like, I think they're about 10. I'm like, that
what
was
could
a
they do at
5-year-old.
2? Could they talk?
Yes.
I had
But
no
you
clue.
forget too, because I had to recalibrate, because Maya has a little sister now, because her dad and his wife had a baby, and so that child will be 2 in April. And so I know
2. I feel like that just happened.
She was just born like 2 weeks ago.
I know. Nothing stares you down in the passage of time like a kid aging. It's wild. You know this. But like, so she's going to be 2, and that is such a cute age. And so I love to see it, but I'm reminded also of like, oh, that's right. Like, I forgot even, and I have a kid, and I'm like, wait, when do they walk? When are they doing this? It's just about 1 or a little after that they're learning. And so Maya will like show me videos of her little sister doing things that are just adorable. And I'm like, this is so cute. It's a baby. I want to touch it. But I'm like, that's not my kid.
No.
Not my kid. That's awkward. Sorry.
My ex-husband's kid.
It's my ex-husband's kid, and his probably new wife is like, no, thank you.
Nah,
Thank you, but no, thank you.
Get up.
Anyway. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this woman, her kid was probably a little bit over 1. And I was just like, oh, okay, we got a kid with us at the table. And she was just like having a conversation. I think she only was having like 2 beers. She was on her second one, and she was like, after this, I'm going to take him home because it's time for his nap. But she was just like having him talking to us, and we were kikiing and drama and stuff. And she was just like, I said when I had a kid, I was not going to alter my life as much as possible. So I do stick to like his sleep schedule, but like he needs to learn to, if we're here and then it's nap time, he's gonna have to go to nap here with all this happening around him. And I was like, okay, girl.
That's a choice.
Girl, got it.
Yeah,
that's a choice. You see that you can do that.
Right. Everybody
you have the
parents
freedom
differently.
to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for me, but that's okay.
So I want to get to some of these responses of just to reset, if you just popped into if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, the millennials failing to launch. And so I asked people who are millennials, why do you feel like you are stuck and not getting into adulthood? So one girl said, I answered yes, but definitely no longer hoping for home ownership. I can think of several people who would have answered no based on those quotes that were in the article. Someone said, I still have to ask my dad to borrow money. Someone said, not struggling at all in my 30s. Milestones don't matter. Your life, your choice. Another person said, I'm single and renting when all my friends are married homeowners. I can't afford it. Someone said, I'm not a no, but I want to add to this. I have a mortgage and soon to be marriage, but we still, and it cuts off there.
Oh,
The
damn.
cliffhanger.
I'll have to go to his actual
Cliffhanger.
profile and see what he says. Remind me of that when I get to the end.
Okay.
Honestly, for me, it's just too expensive to have kids and the interest rates and the 7%. Not when the job market is awful and the price of homes is over $500,000. Can never feel
Minimum.
Right, minimum. I think I just saw that there are more homes in Charlotte over $1 million
I saw that
than
too.
ever before.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is wild.
That's
I
fucking wild,
know.
which-
And they're not even that nice. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
Started.
Okay,
No,
they're
don't
not
start
like
it.
like for me as an elder millennial thinking about $1 million home. I'm like, oh, it's like a mansion.
It's a
No,
mini
Six
McMansion.
bedrooms.
Yes.
Minimum.
No, this shit is like 3 bedroom, 2 bath,
Right.
and it's a little rundown, but it's on a nice.
1,500 square feet.
It's on a nice block.
Girl, just the fact that like the house that we built in St. Pete, that it's like it is wild to me that it's worth that we paid what we paid for it. And then the fact that what it's worth now,
You ain't gonna give us a number?
no.
Bitch was about to, and then he was like,
Nope,
He's like,
absolutely not. Because
"Ooh."
Abe would punch me in the face
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
said
yeah.
that.
Sometimes you don't need to share everything.
Yeah, nope, that's not nobody's business.
wow, this is uncensored.
Yeah.
This is
No.
Nope.
This is censored, guys.
No, but it's like when I walk in the house, I'm like the craftsmanship, the quality, yes.
It's stunning. Yeah.
But when I think about that number, and I'm like, those were homes that I would go to in Roswell, Georgia, Alpharetta, Georgia, above Atlanta, that I'd be like, oh my God, they've got like 8 bedrooms and their grandma lives on the other side of the house and they never see her except for once a week. Like,
Right? That kind of, I know what the house that you're talking about, by the way. My cousin
Right.
has one of those houses.
right. Not my house where if you open the front door, you can see her straight through the back door. Like, no, that's
Right.
insane.
It's
Yeah.
nice. I've had checkers there.
Yes, you
That was
did.
my best. It's one of my favorite moments. This is my St. Pete trip.
Mm-mm.
Some other responses about why they feel stuck in their 30s. Married with kids, but not homeowners yet. Want to, but not affordable. I feel like I had to do a post-undergrad education to get where I want to be in life, so they feel stuck. Someone said gay from southern small town where people marry kids by 25, and I'm still just trying to catch flights. And then someone said because boomers won't retire and give us growth opportunities. Someone said I feel somewhere in between. And then most of it is just about finances.
I would say that the echoing thing here is money.
I'm just seeing if there's anything different. A lot of people are blaming the boomers.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, you got to have somebody to blame, even if it's not fully their fault. And I mean, at some point, we are all going to have to put our fingers of blame to the country and the way that it runs, and the way that it's set up to run. But boomers are an easy target, also.
I feel like I'm just drowning at this point. Like, it's not going to get better. So I have to do something about it.
Right.
We're
And
on like
If not, I'm
a
going to
new
drown.
playing board, so
Right.
yeah, the game has changed.
I think there's 2 here. I think that kind of sums it up and just sort of what everybody said and what we've said. This one said, I'm a cusp of millennial Gen X, don't feel I'm financially or career growth where I should.
Mm.
And then someone else said, the same goes for growing our family. We would love to, but in reality, simply can't afford it. We can't afford to buy a home with the average cost being over 300, close to 400,000. Between me and my fiance, we make over 100K a year and still live paycheck to paycheck. So I think when it comes down to finances, why a lot of people feel stuck, because it's true. Like what we just said, like the value of our homes, and like what it actually is just doesn't make sense. And when you think about lasagna soup I made Sunday. I went to Publix, bought all the things for it because I kind of had to replenish. Like we didn't have beef stock and stuff like that, and the Italian sausage. And then we got like a couple of more things with it. And I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. To make lasagna soup that lasted us for 3 days, it was $107 at the grocery store for that.
Jesus.
That's ridiculous.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And that's why people feel stuck, is because just to make soup, and it's just the two of us. If we had like 3 kids, 2 kids, it's crazy. Like when I look at some people that take 3 kids to like Disney or Universal, I'm like,
forget that. Like, no. It's so much more expensive. It's crazy expensive. I'm like, everyone going to these parks is very well off. I mean, I'm not mad about it because get that money and use it to go do vacations. But like, and I guess there's like no middle class anymore, but like a majority of people simply cannot go to Disney because they cannot afford it. It's just out of reach. Like, never mind if you're from another state other than Florida. Maybe if you were in Florida, you could go take a road trip and stay at some terrible motel on the side of the road and then get into Disney, and you could do it on a budget. But if you live in Ohio and you've got to pay for the flights and a hotel and the parks and the treats and the snacks, like we're talking about, and if let's say you're a family of 4, probably it would cost you close to $10,000. That's insane.
It's wild.
Crazy how much it costs to do all that stuff.
Crazy.
So that's why everybody, I think our generation feels like stuck. I mean, because I'm going to bring this up on the show at some point, but I don't want it to sound like frivolous. I don't want to just throw it out. But Abe and I have had some serious discussions over the past 8 months about possibly adopting, and like, what does that actually look like? And I'm like, girl, we gotta clear up some finance stuff and our spending habits, because we make a good living, but like you have to be super watchful and tight when it comes to it. And it's not like it used to be that if we were making this salary like 20 years ago, we'd be like, oh, girl, we could probably get 2 kids. Come on, girl. And you got your business and we got money coming in from the rental. Like, girl, we good. And now I'm like, but that's where we are. And so that's why so many people, no matter what part of the economic side you land on or where you are in your career, we all feel a little stuck. Because even in like the radio world, I feel like we should be further where we are at this age than where the people that are the generation above us are, because they won't retire.
Right. No, that is a thing. That's the Gen X, and that's where people get mad at the Gen X and the boomers. But it's a little different in radio because the jobs are so few and far between.
Right.
But if you think about the people that we looked up to when we were in our early 20s, so I mean, like we're talking about 15 plus years ago, the people that had the heavy duty jobs and they were syndicated and they were industry leaders, they were the age that we are now or younger.
Right.
And they are still in those exact same jobs.
Right.
It's not like more jobs opened up. As a matter of fact, less jobs exist now.
Less.
And so, I mean, I guess I get it to a certain extent, because if you have to love radio to do it.
Right.
You wouldn't do it unless you really loved it. And so if you love this job and you've landed yourself like a very successful show and you're dominating a market and maybe you also are syndicated, it's hard to just let that go, because then what do you do? And I think we all agree you can't just do nothing. We've had this conversation about your mom in retirement, Miguel. You have to do something after you retire. And I think that a lot of people don't know who they are without radio. So I think that's part of the reason that these guys and their guys won't go. They don't know what to do. They're probably worried about, like, with money, you never have enough.
Right.
They could be making $1 million and they're like, but what if I don't have it anymore? How am I going to afford the lifestyle that I'm living? So it's a combination of all those things. But yeah, it's a really sad story in radio, because we aren't where we probably could have been if this were 20 years ago.
And you know what just occurred to me, not just for radio, but for most industries, that when you think about why are people staying for so long, when you think about what used to happen is you would reach, 62 back in the day, you'd get a pension.
Yes.
And so you could go, so you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm still getting
you put
paid.
your time in,
You put
and
your
they
time in.
continued to pay you.
Right. Whereas like now we have to depend on ourselves to have that retirement money. And so maybe a lot of these people in our industry and other industries that haven't left yet, they're like, I don't know if that money is going to last the amount of time that I'm going to be alive for.
Right.
Because also with modern technology and medicine, we're living longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, I was planning on 20 years, but I'm projected to live another 30 years. So I got to get that money.
Where's that money going to come from? Like your 401k.
Right.
And like Social Security, but even that's questionable.
We're all going to die and live in the streets.
But at least
not
we'll
in that
be together.
expensive home.
That's
You both
They
got
coming
homes.
in.
I'm living with both of y'all. Retiring all together.
Listen, Holly and I both have apartments.
We do.
So
you guys
Mine's-
own apartments too?
No.
No.
Like,
As part of our homes.
yeah.
Like Miguel's got the apartment above the
Oh.
garage. My whole
That's
literal
right.
second floor is a whole
Mhm.
other apartment. Water damage right now, by the way. So
It'll
it's
be
a little
fixed 30 years
we'll
from
get
now.
it. Yeah, we'll get it fixed by then.
Yeah. So you and Oscar could come in. You're not paying rent to a corporation. You're paying rent to me.
Yeah.
But no, you should really look into those grants and see if they're still around,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially before January 20th.
I don't even know if I can get married in March.
Kelvin, how can people find you on social media?
At Kelvin Live, TikTok, Twitter, but truly, I just use Instagram. So follow me on Instagram.
Holly?
Radio Holly on Instagram, on Threads, and for however long TikTok is available.
Oof. I was playing around with this like AI stuff for video, for all the videos we do, to sort of help with the workload of all the stuff we record. And it was like, do you want to connect to the TikTok? And so I started going through the process of connecting it to the Miguel and Holly. And I'm like, yeah, let's just wait. There's no need.
Just hold on.
Just yet.
No need. You can find me, Miguel Fuller, on Instagram, Threads, and I'm back on my bullshit on Peloton.
Oh.
dang.
Yeah, so if you'd like to do some rides together, let me know at Miguel Fuller on Peloton. We will see you all on Friday. Bye.